up, guys? I'm very excited for this deck profile. We have Blue Eyes, just pure Blue Eyes. It is a completely new deck now because of the recent ban list. We have Super Rejuvenation back to 3, from 0 to 3. It's kind of insane. Doesn't happen very often. Usually they try to scale it up one by one. But super amazing card. This card changes like what the deck does. I mean, it doesn't really affect... Here's the great thing. It doesn't actually affect Blue Eyes all that much, because you're still going to play Blue Eyes exactly the same way you would have played it anyway. But now, during the end phase, you get to draw a bunch of cards, basically for free. So, I mean, it feels like you're playing, like, Sky Strikers or something. It doesn't even feel like Blue Eyes. Like, you'll end on a board of, like, a few different cards on a negate, an interruption, and then you say, okay, end phase, and you draw 4 cards. It's kind of insane. The next turn, you just OTK. So it lets Blue Eyes go first way more easily. And going second with Blue Eyes is always amazing, because Blue Eyes like built to go second anyway. So here we go. Let's get started. We play 3 copies, of course, of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Just play your favorite artworks. These are my favorite 3. Play whatever 3 you like the most. Or you could just play the same ones. Listen, it's your life. Do whatever you want. But these are my favorites. So I play Anniversary, Starter Deck, and the Ultimate Rare from the starter deck. Those are my favorite. You could play DDS, obviously, but I don't see the point of playing with it. But next card, we play 3 copies of Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon. Everybody knows what this does. Reveal Blue Eyes to special summon it, and then in addition to that, you can pop a card. Exceptional card. 1 copy of Spirit of White lets you get rid of back row. This is rather important, especially going second when you're playing against annoying decks like Altergeist or any sort of floodgate deck that would get in the way, but definitely very good for that. Banishes on summon. Then we play 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. In the pure build, you have to play this. On normal summon, it searches a level 1 Light Tuner, which includes, actually, Effect Veiler, and on top of it, you can discard this card and then send a monster from your side of the field to the graveyard to special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck. So typically, you'll send like a stone or something like that to the graveyard, and then you'll trigger that stone's effect, and in addition to that, you'll trigger this card's effect, and you'll special summon from the deck, and you'll get the stone's effect. Then we've got 3 copies of the Stone of Ancients. This one is imperative to play. During the end phase, you special summon a Blue Eyes monster. That effect is not once per turn. And then the second effect, which is once per turn, you can banish this from the graveyard and then get a Blue Eyes from a Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard back to your hand, which you can sometimes use during the same turn, or I don't know, yeah, it depends. You can sometimes use it during the same turn. The only thing is, if you banish this, obviously it's not in the graveyard anymore, so you can't use the end phase effect. But like, let's say you have 2 of them in the graveyard, then it's not that big of a deal. You can use the banish effect. And sometimes you really do need to use that second effect to bounce back like a Blue Eyes back to your hand, just so you can like resolve trade-in or something like that. So in those cases, it's important. Play 2 copies of the White Stone of Legend. This one I bumped up from 1 to 2 because you want to discard as many dragon monsters as possible. You want to keep the amount of cards in your hand as high as possible, because you want to be discarding constantly so you can resolve Super Rejuvenation at the end phase. But definitely 2 of this one. Then we play the 1 Effect Veiler. We search. You can bump up all of the hand traps in here. I'll get around to it, but I'll get around to telling you why during the end. But you can definitely bump up all the hand traps, including the Effect Veilers. We play 2 copies of Danger Bigfoot. Again, this helps to trigger the Super Rejuvenation, and in addition to that, puts a level 8 on board. Going second, it pops a card. If they discard this card, it special summons itself. It draws a card. Like, this card is like so beneficial for Blue Eyes. It does so many good things. There's no reason not to play. You can also play Thunderbird. You can also play Ogopogo. They're all very good cards, but certainly I think Bigfoot is the best because it does pop a face-up card. So those are all of the monster cards. Next, let's move on to the spell cards. We play 3 copies of the fresh off the ban list Super Rejuvenation. So what does this card do? Why is it so important? Why does it help Blue Eyes so much? There's not a lot of decks that can actually utilize this card. It was banned because of Dragon Rulers in the first place, and they're all banned, so there's no reason why this card can't come back. So basically, during the end phase of the turn, this card was activated, and it is a quick play, so you can use it during either player's turn. You can draw a number of cards equal to the combined number of dragons you discarded or tributed from your hand or side of the field this turn. So the reason that is phenomenal is because Blue Eyes actually discards a lot of cards for cost, and on top of that, we're playing extra cards that will help you discard even more that are either neutral or plus ones. So definitely it helps because during the end you can basically resolve trade-in, cards of consonance, and Melody of Awakening Dragons, and then during the end phase you get to draw like 3-4 cards, which is absolutely insane. It's like better than Pot of Greed sometimes. The only issue is that you get the cards at the end phase, so unless they're hand traps you can't really use them, but usually in the grind game that is an absolutely astronomically disgusting thing because you're drawing 4 cards, and in a deck like Blue Eyes that burns resources so quickly, it is imperative. It's insane that this card came back. It's just very good for Blue Eyes. I wouldn't say that it's a broken card outside of this deck, but certainly this helps the deck a lot. So definitely 3 copies of Super Rejuvenation, and right now I have 1 Super. I have the rest are commons. Obviously no one expected this. Was really random. But definitely with Blue Eyes, it is extremely beneficial. Then we play 3 copies of Trade-In. Very simple effect. Discard at level 8 for cost, draw 2 cards. Again, this helps Super Rejuvenation. 2 copies of Cards of Consonance. Usually people play 1, I play 2. I play a larger amount of stones, and again, we're trying to get as many draws at the end phase for Super Rejuvenation. So we play 2, and I'm not ever unhappy to see this card, I'll tell you that. Next, we play 3 copies of Melody of Awakening Dragons. Searches virtually every dragon in our deck, at least the big ones. So it searches alternate, it searches regular Blue Eyes. It does not search the Spirit because Spirit doesn't have enough attack, but it searches the big dragons. It's basically a 1-card alternate eye summon, which is awesome. And it discards a card, so you can end up discarding a dragon and then drawing cards. It's awesome. We play 1 copy of 1 for 1. Again, this is another discard card. Normally this card is a minus, but if you discard something like the Stone of Legend, like let's say you activate this, discard Stone of Legend. Off Stone of Legend, you'll add a Blue Eyes. Then you'll summon a Stone of Ancients to the field, and then during the end phase, you'll draw a card off of the Super Rejuvenation. So it makes all of the minuses of Blue Eyes turn into pluses, which is like awesome. Then we play 1 card destruction because it's like a blowout card. It's awesome. 1 copy of Bing Machine Go. I have 3. There's no point to play 3. It's a hard once per turn, and that is the only reason I'm playing this at 1. Also, there aren't exactly a lot of amazing targets to search with this. So basically this card, you reveal 3 cards, and it has to be of the things below. So it's either a Blue Eyes monster or a spell and trap card that specifically lists Blue Eyes or Blue Eyes Ultimate in the name. So this card is good, but I would not, like at this point, run it at more than 3 because there isn't a really, really good or broken Blue Eyes card that you can search in terms of spell and trap cards. You can search alternate eyes and stuff like that, but definitely I'm sticking to 1 of this so far until they come out with better ones. Then we play 2 Dragon's Mirrors. This card, it lets you fusion summon. If you've probably seen it, I don't have to explain it. 3 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords for recursion. 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Focus the camera. And then for our trap cards, we play 3 copies of the Ultimate Creature of Destruction. This card is insane. So basically, you target a Blue Eyes you control, and it doesn't have to be a Blue Eyes White Dragon. It can be an Ultimate, it can be a Spirit, it can be any of those. And then that face-up monster is unaffected by any card effects. So that's already pretty good, except its own. It cannot be destroyed by battle. Any monster your opponent battles is destroyed during the end step. So it adds like that. It adds like a Blue Eyes Twin Dragon like effect to it, which is really cool. And while this card is in your graveyard, if you normal special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can set this card but banish it when it leaves the field, which is again a very useful effect because it gets you back resources, which is great. And then we play 1 copy of Skill Drain. That is the final card there. Again, Skill Drain is a blowout card in this deck because you have a lot of effects that activate either in the graveyard, so it just doesn't matter. It doesn't impact you negatively, which is great. Next, for the extra deck, we play 1 copy this is somewhat new, the Blue Eyes Alternative Alternative Ultimate Dragon. So basically, yeah, you can read the effect. It pops up to 3 cards, but then you can't attack, but it doesn't matter because you pop 3 cards. So awesome in that way. Play 1 copy of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Again, this is why we're playing the Dragon Shrine. This is like the other option. You can play the Blue Eyes Alternate, or you can play the Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate. This one is like more going for game if you're low on resources, and this one is just good on just destroying boards. So they have their own uses. We play 1 copy of Twin Burst. This is both, it can be a contact fusion, or it can be a fusion through Dragon Shrine, but this one's really cool. A lot of people cut this card. I actually like it a lot because it helps get over like boards where monsters can't be targeted or monsters can't be destroyed by card effects, because basically you just ram into whatever you want that's stronger than this card, and then it gets banished, non-targeting anyway. So it's actually really, really awesome in that regard. And then of course it can attack twice on monsters, which can be useful for clearing boards. But I like this card actually a lot. I've always liked it since it's printing. A lot of people have cut it over the years, but I like it a lot. Then we play 1 5-headed dragon. Again, this is just going for game. You basically will go first. You'll set up a Blue Eyes board with at least 1 copy of Blue Eyes, negate, possibly some interruptions, and then you'll draw a bunch of cards off of the Super Rejuvenation. Your opponent won't be able to break that board because you have a monster that's unaffected by everything and can't be destroyed by battle, so they'll end, and then the following turn you Dragon Shrine into a 5-headed and you win. Like, it's too much. And then, yeah, it's very easy to put 5 dragons into the graveyard, and you can use any number of these cards. 5-headed isn't always the best option, but it's 5,000 attack, so, I mean, come on. Then we play 2 copies of the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Spirit is another one that's fairly amazing. Basically, neither player can summon 2 monsters at the same time. That's number 1. You really have to, a lot of these effects people don't even remember to enforce. Most of the time people just tag them out and they forget all the other stuff. So your opponent can't pendulum summon in a sense. And then during either player's turn, you can negate an effect that activates in the graveyard, which is another amazing effect. And then, of course, the famous effect, which is you can tribute this Synchro Summon card, which, remember, tribute works with Super Rejuvenation. You can tribute this Synchro Summon card to special summon a Light Dragon. I think it's light, is it? Yeah, Light Dragon Synchro Monster from your Esh deck in defense position. So, again, it tributes, so it actually activates the Super Rejuvenation, or it adds to the total number of Super Rejuvenation draws that you're going to get during the end phase. And then we have the targets. We have Azure Eyes, which you can actually naturally summon in this deck too, but if you don't naturally summon it, you can get it off of the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. And the great thing about this card is that it offers itself protection, so it won't actually get destroyed, unlike the other cards that are summoned off of the Spirit Dragon. This card will not be destroyed, and then lets you summon normal monsters during the standby phase, and it's just like, it's an awesome card. Play 1 Black Rose to bounce back stuff off of the Spirit. 1 Michael, it's like a pay 1,000 banish. Hope Harbinger, this negates spells and forces your opponent to attack this and other things. Photon Lord, this just basically is like, it just negates a monster effect, and it negates, it doesn't negate and destroy. It just it just negates, but it doesn't it negates and destroys, but it doesn't negate the activation. It negates just the effect. So if it's a hard once per turn, they can't use it again. Then 1 Galaxy Eye Cypher Dragon. It's more utility. Cypher Blade. We've got the Heavenly Spheres, which is a pretty easy summon, and remember, Heavenly Spheres does tribute itself or a monster, so you can, and Super Rejuvenation does activate. It's a quick play, so you can activate during your opponent's turn, so you can tribute a monster and then draw during the end phase. And then we have 1 copy of Link Karibo. Additionally, in Link Karibo, if it's in the graveyard, you could tribute a level 1 and then bring it back, which again works with the Super Rejuvenation. But definitely, very exciting deck. I hope you guys try it. And yeah, I forgot to say, the only thing you would consider, you might want to take out the Ultimate Creature of Destructions and just replace them with hand traps. That way, if you draw cards off of the Super Rejuvenation, they're all live. They're all live cards in your hand, so if you have a bunch of ashes, you can actually use during your opponent's turn and stuff like that. So you might want to, like, if you know for a fact you're going second, replace the ultimate creatures of destruction and the bingo machine go, and obviously the skill drain, and just put in a bunch of hand traps, and then just interrupt your opponent and just OTK them the next turn. But that is it. I'm very excited about this deck, and let me know what you think, and thank you for watching.